Today, my conversation is with William Bing. For 10 years, Bill served as a trumpet player with the Los Angeles Opera Orchestra and for 5 years with the LA Chamber Orchestra. For 35 years, Bill served as director of bands at the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena. Now retired, Bill is on the Parkinson's journey, and I look forward to hearing his story. Hello, how are you?
Hey, we made it.
I have admired you from afar for so long that
That's
it's a
nice.
real it's just a thrill for me to just connect with you just in general.
Thank you. It's been a while, but I'm glad you remembered me. I really appreciate that.
Let's talk about your background. So, are you originally from Los Angeles?
No, I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, but my father worked his way up the academic ladder, and so we moved around quite a bit. I lived in Detroit, and then I went to the Interlochen Arts Academy.
Did you go to University of Michigan?
Yeah, I was very fortunate in that my trumpet teacher at Interlochen for 1 year was Clifford Lilia, who also taught at the University of Michigan. I wasn't a great trumpet player. I was a good trumpet player. I was fortunate that I was always happy when I met a player who was better than I was, because then I had somebody to look up to, and that has happened all my life. So I've been very lucky that I never felt really competitive about the process.
So now what brought you to LA?
Good question. Well, I from Michigan, I got a low draft number, and so I enlisted and auditioned for the Air Force Band in Washington and the West Point Band, and I got into both of those groups, and then I flunked my physical. So I left Michigan. I went to Boston University and studied with Gatala. He was wonderful.
Uh,
He took me in even though his class was full. He says, "You need some help, and I'll help you." I had played for him, and so I went for a year to BU, and then my parents moved to Los Angeles, and I went to visit them in December, and it was just beautiful scenery, and just everything was just to my liking. So I transferred to USC, studied with Jimmy Stamp, and I studied conducting with Dan Lewis. Before I even graduated, I got a job at San Antonio Symphony, and the trumpet section was great. It was Glenn Fischel, who ended up first in San Francisco, and Tony Plogue, who was a well-known composer and trumpet player, and myself. So it was a good trumpet section, but by the end of 2 years, all three of the trumpet players had gone on to other things. So I came back to LA. And prior to going to San Antonio, I had gotten a job, interviewed and gotten a job as a brass coach at the California Institute of Technology. Then the jazz band director left after 1 year, and I did the jazz band. And then I
oh.
went to San Antonio. I came back, and the concert band director retired. So I just fell into it. Yeah.
Now, when did you retire? How many years ago now did you retire from
Uh,
Caltech?
about about 10 years ago.
Are you still playing trumpet?
Well, I try to play most every day. I still have about 7 or 8 trumpet students, mostly high school kids, junior high. But I love to teach. But I had a great career in LA. Like the other day, I was sitting with some parents, and they said their daughter was a ballet student, and I said, "Well, I played with the Harlem Ballet, the Joffrey Ballet, the American Ballet. I played with the New York City Ballet. I played with just as a freelance player. So I had a fun time. Mostly ended up playing second trumpet. I like to be a support system. And so that's kind
Yeah.
of where my career ended up. But I retired about 10 years ago from Caltech, and about from playing at probably about the same time. The tremors started to kick in a little bit too much for me to ignore. So
Sure.
but I don't feel bad about it. Like I said, I was very fortunate, but my tremors are now, I don't know if you can see, just,
Yeah.
and I also have lip tremors.
Interesting. So let's talk about that. So what were the first signs that you felt that something was going on?
Good question. I think it goes back like 15 years. When I first went in for tremors in my right hand, I went to see a neurologist, and he says, you know, I kind of borderline, but I'm going to go with essential tremors for now. And maybe about 5 years after that, maybe 10 years ago, I went in, maybe not even that long ago, but about 8 years ago, maybe I went to see a different neurologist, the head of neurology at USC, and he treated me like I was a data point, which I really didn't appreciate. But he did diagnose me as having Parkinson's. And then I went to a neurologist specializing in movement disorders at Cedars-Sinai, and he did the scan on my brain.
Mm.
And he said, "Yeah, definitely, you have Parkinson's."
When you started developing this tremor, you were still able to function as a trumpet player and conductor.
Yes, yeah, it seems to be one of those situations, as most people know, that it gets gradually more evident, more as the years go on.
It didn't bother you, it didn't affect your conducting because when you were conducting in an active, did you feel the tremor so much?
Not so much, no. And I still can conduct. I mean, if I'm moving like this,
Right.
I can still do what I need to do.
Sure.
But I don't know. Somebody a long time ago told me if you just do this with your hands, put your thumb and your index finger, and rub them together, the tremors kind of go away.
Hmm.
And that I'll do that if I'm talking to people. I'll do that and put my hands to the side. But then when I try to carry a plate, it's like there's a 7.4 earthquake underneath my body, and so it gets pretty clear at that point. And people say,
Right.
can I get your food for you?" And I say, "Great." I'm not reluctant at all to get whatever help I need. Uh,
Sure. Sure. And did you feel any, when you were still conducting and playing, did you feel any issues in terms of tempos or anything like that? Did it had kind of any impact in your perception of rhythm and time?
No, I don't think so. I probably retired before that might have become an issue. Um, I when I play my trumpet, the 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 most difficult thing is maintaining, and I think might have affected not only my lips but possibly my breathing. Because it's not easy if I try to get a buzz. You can hear it. That's about
Sure.
as straight as I can do it. And so I think there's might be something going on with the air, but it might be just the lips that are quivering. I'm not really sure.
Really interesting.
Yeah. But as you can tell, I can still buzz.
Sure.
So I can still play. It's just that I don't play with the kind of control that you need to be able to play. But out here, I had like 40 years playing trumpet, and nobody should stay past their due. As you know, you've heard, I'd rather retire 5 minutes early than somebody tells me, the 5 minutes are too late that I should be retired. So when I retired, it was time.
Do you have any other
Yeah, yeah. So
symptoms that you've?
I've had to take swallowing lessons because I've had difficulty swallowing,
Right.
and uh, and so I went to USC, and there's this very nice woman who would work with me on swallowing. And so she just had different techniques, how to strengthen the tongue being a muscle. Let me help you develop your muscles in your tongue, and how to swallow more efficiently. And so that's been very helpful. I still, when I swallow, I'd say about 50% of the time the food doesn't go down all the way. And so I have to, excuse the language, but I have to kind of bring it back up again and swallow again. And usually that does it. But but the two ways that they say Parkinson's patients have to be particularly careful is that they don't asphyxiate and that they don't fall down and break a hip or something like that. I think my balance is still, I go to the gym, I work out a lot, and I've always enjoyed working out, so I'm lucky that way. But every time I go to the gym, I work on legs and balance
Sure.
to help mitigate any kinds of issues that I might have with that. I
Sure.
still play pickleball one night a week, so I still remain active, which I think most Parkinson's patients will tell you that moving water doesn't freeze, and so I've taken that to heart.
Wow. Yeah. So before I want to talk about what you're doing to your treatment and the proactiveness that you're taking in terms of your Parkinson's, but I do have another musical question. Have
Hmm.
you had any sort of any sort of positive effect on your Parkinson's symptoms from just the artistic aspect of music?
That's a great question. The New York Times had a special section recently on the greatest gifts over the holidays. And one of the things they had was this little device. You push the button and it gives you 30 seconds of dance music. And it's really interesting because I'll press that button, I'll dance for 30 seconds, and I feel better. You know, it just doesn't take that much in order, I think, for your brain to rewire itself. And all of a sudden you stop worrying about, Jesus, can I make this next step without falling on my whatever? And and uh and you worry about my ever this and that. But when I was dancing, you know, it really so that's just one thing that you can do. And out here in Pasadena, California, they have a dance company that works with Parkinson's people. I think I may look into that. So I think, you know, I can't, I think it's a good idea, and I'm so glad you brought it up, not to let the things that you enjoyed so much slide, you know, just maintain the things that you've always loved to do. See, it can get very depressing, right? There's no kidding. It can get, it can bog you down. But, and I don't think that's I don't want to hide those symptoms either, because I think it's important to let those symptoms float and deal with them accordingly. But I think it's really important to keep doing the things that you've always enjoyed doing.
Mm.
And I just was thinking, I said, that's when we need it the most, is when we're having trouble. That's when you should go back to the things that you know brought you some comfort.
So now let's talk about what you're doing now in terms of your activity. What are you doing in terms of your fight against Parkinson's? Are you, first of all, are you taking medication?
I'm on carbidopa 1.5 pills a day, half a pill with every meal. And I'm on, let's go, amantadine once in the morning and once at night. And that's been my regimen for about the last 2 or 3 years. And so it's pretty minimal. But more important to me is that I get to the gym 3 days a week at least. And I work out with weights and stretching for at least an hour, more than an hour. And then I'll get on cardio and work for 30 minutes at least.
When I leave the gym, I feel better than any pill has made me feel. Like
Good for you.
I feel a real like immediate difference.
For me, it's a cumulative effect. And it's also fear that drives me to the gym. It's like they say a scared trumpet player is a good trumpet player. You know, that I'm scared that if I don't go to the gym, I won't be able to play as well. I won't be able to feel as well. So I definitely feel better when I leave the gym. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very,
Yeah.
very interesting.
And I have this one, you know, a wonderful Parkinson's group that I meet with once a month in here. There's about 40 or 50 people that belong to this group. And that's helping me. But I think I'm really lucky so far because I function. I mean, just as you are, we're functioning human beings. Too often when you get the diagnosis, you think it's a death sentence. And I don't think it is. You could call it a life sentence because if you really take care of yourself in ways that maybe you hadn't before you got the diagnosis, you could end up in a better place than before you had Parkinson's. And I know that's a wild thing to say when so many people are suffering so greatly. I would love not to have Parkinson's. But on the other hand, I feel that um, it's something that I like to think of, that I have gained more appreciation for life and than I have prior to that. And
One more question for you, and it's a question that I've asked everybody in my conversations, and it's quite simply, when you have the opportunity, or if you have the opportunity to meet someone who is just starting their journey with Parkinson's, what words of encouragement or advice might you share with them?
um, make the most out of a difficult situation. I guess that's probably what I'd say. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, thanks so much for sharing some time with me
Thank you,
today.
Tom. It's great to catch up after a few years. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel even better talking to you, so that's good medicine too. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I do as well.